Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Blues Daily channel for another episode of the Blues Preview. Today, I'm joined by a great guest, a good friend of mine, and that's Elliot Yates from Delilah Debate and the Bear Pit TV. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm disappointed that I'm not going to the game, unfortunately. But yeah, I've had my first jab the other day, and I just feel really tired, to be honest. I can't get myself going for the game. But I'm looking forward to watching it on the telly. I'm looking forward to see what the game is because I think it's going to be a great game today.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of positivity surrounding both clubs that we can definitely touch on in this preview. So we'll get straight into things, really, and I think we'll start off on the Potters. What are you expecting from Stoke this Saturday? And should we be aware of any players or keeping an eye on a certain few?
Yeah, well, I think it's the same really from last time. Yeah, the Nick Powell's are going to be probably in form today, causing you the most problems. And he's personally my favourite player, so I hope he does cause you problems because on his day he's a brilliant, brilliant player. But in terms of when we last met, there's been a lot of new changes at Stoke. We've got a new head of recruitment, and the recruitment this year has been excellent, given the FFP problems that we've had. We've recruited right, got the right players in for each position. So, for instance, the club lacked a little bit of creative midfield players, and bringing in someone like Mario Vrancic is unbelievable, and he creates so much. He's got flair. His passing is excellent. His set pieces are unbelievable. One of some of the best set pieces I've seen in my time as a Stoke fan, let alone just in the Championship. So having someone like Mario Vrancic is excellent. And even when we've lost players, Nathan Collins, Ben Wilmot has been a brilliant replacement for Nathan Collins, looking absolutely solid. So I think what to expect from Stoke is a team that we've kind of gone back to in recent years. The Stoke fans identify themselves or want the team to be hardworking, difficult to break down. And we've become that now. We've got, like I said, these defenders that we've now got. We've added to that in Ostergaard, who, if you see the picture of him re-signing for Stoke, he's got his arms crossed, bald head.
He's a
There was
scary guy.
reminiscences of like Shawcross and Huth. That is the Stoke player, and we've got that identity back. And a lot of fans kind of lost it a little bit with Stoke, and we didn't have that identity. But now we've got that back. O'Neill's brought it back, and I'm really looking forward to this game and this season because you're going to see the proper Stoke on Saturday.
Very excited for that. You do seem to be scoring a lot of goals at the moment, which seems to be sort of where we're lacking a bit, but defensively we've really brought it. But I think the signing of Ostergaard could really, really change the game a bit come Saturday. And whether you actually play him, who knows yet. But, you know, we've all seen what he's capable of at Coventry last season, and he could be a great bit of business for you. I suppose coming on to that topic of your new signings, obviously, every team kind of has that marquee sign in every window. So I suppose I'm asking, who would you pick out as probably the best bit of business Stoke have done so far?
I'd probably say Mario Vrancic because I think at Norwich he was very sort of useful in that area, but he was kind of a lot of Norwich fans thought he was very underutilized there. So that's what Chris Reeves said, who's of TNC, taught Norwich City. He told me that he thought he was very underutilized at Norwich. So that's kind of reassuring to hear that maybe he could have got into the Norwich team that got promoted by so many points and continue to get promoted by so many points. Every year they kind of come down from the Premier League, they go straight back up. So having someone like him there is really promising to hear because we've lacked a lot of creativity in midfield. I mean, Powell can do bits by himself, but maybe needs that extra person to kind of bounce off. And having Mario Vrancic really helps that. And also, we've got a lad who's 6'6", a defender called with Harry Souter. And we've got Leo Ostergaard, who apparently last season jumped higher than Cristiano Ronaldo has ever jumped in his life.
Well, there you
So
go.
having those two from set pieces is unbelievable. Stoke are going to become really, really difficult to defend set pieces against and also score set pieces from because those two lads in the box are exceptional. And then you've got Wilmot in there for defending the set piece as well to add that. And he's been solid recently. So
Yeah.
I'd say Mario Vrancic because he just adds a different dimension with his set pieces and his creativity. We've really sort of transformed since he's come in.
Especially getting him on a free as well. Like, that's a great bit of business. It's funny because when Vrancic signed for you, I thought to myself, on paper, that's a good bit of business. but I just had this gut feeling that he would flop, and it would be down to like injuries or something like that. And then I see how he's just tearing people apart in pre-season, and I'm like, okay, this guy could be serious.
Yeah.
He could be really serious. I don't even think I'd seen that side of him at Norwich as much. So it's funny you bring up that underutilized point. Obviously, we saw glimpses, and he scored against Blues for Norwich before. But yeah, no, I'm surprised at how much of an instant impact he has made already since signing for you lot. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and I'm definitely excited to see Vrancic play. But hopefully, he's not too good come Saturday. So yeah, but no, good transfer window for both clubs, I'd say, which is rare that happens. I think we could both agree on that. But yeah, so we'll talk a bit more about Blues now, moving on from Stoke. I suppose giving you an idea of what I'd expect from Blues come Saturday is very much the same as how we played at Sheffield United. Maybe a little bit more on the front foot because we're at home, but I definitely expect the same work rate, more than likely the same formation. That 3-5-2 we were playing. And then it depends whether Tahith Chong is fit as well. Yeah, obviously Tahith Chong had a great game against Sheffield United and won man of the match. He's all over social media for how well he played. And he has picked up that little injury and is a doubt for Saturday, which is scary because he was really pulling the strings. But hopefully Bowyer's just selling a false story and just picks him anyway. But we'll have to see. So no, I definitely expect us to be hard to beat. We'll be a very much a counter-attacking side, but I do think we'll look to be on the front foot a little bit more just for being at home, like I said. But it's funny you mentioned set pieces because I'd say that was probably one of Blues' strong points, attacking and defending. We always seem to clear those balls out of the box really quickly. We're quite solid at that, but sometimes we can be caught sleeping. But overall, I'd say set piece is probably our strongest point for scoring and preventing goals. It'll be an interesting one whether you bring that set piece game. But I think you'd be more inclined to try and go through the middle of us if I had to expose a weakness for us. Sheffield United, they tried to attack us from out wide. It didn't work for them because we've really bolstered up around those areas. So it's certainly going to be an interesting one come the game because, like we've both said, they could definitely cancel each other out, and that's the sort of game I'm expecting. And I think that's why a lot of people are predicting 0-0s and 1-1s, both very informed sides as well. But judging from our last couple of games, I'd say I'd expect us to be probably the more defensive side and you to be on the front foot a little bit more. And it'd be the most Blues thing ever to barely be on the front foot at home. Like it's just a very Birmingham City thing to do. But I suppose before we move on from Blues, what sort of glimpses have you caught from Blues this season so far, and what are your thoughts on us?
I mean, I've not really seen much of Blues this season. I think I've only really been keeping up with your results, not really been seeing how you play. I've kind of seen the reactions of fans on social media. And from the outside, I've been looking at your transfer market a lot because when Ryan Woods was sold, obviously that was to Stoke. I've kind of kept an eye on it since. So your likes of Tahith Chong, your Ryan Woods is a great signing. Those sort of types of players. And I thought, yeah, Blues are doing something really well here. And I know Lee Bowyer, his manager, is very good because I've watched him at Charlton and the stuff he did there. Practically had a youth team, got them promoted. That's excellent management. That's nothing more. It's just excellent management. You cannot take those group of players to that position without being an excellent manager. So having him in there, having your signings, really top signings as well, I think it's going to be a great game. And Stoke have done something a little bit similar. I mean, O'Neill's a top manager in my opinion. And I
Definitely.
just think we're going to do something a little bit similar. Like you say, both clubs are kind of back on the up, and it's a very exciting time to be there. Both clubs have got 2 wins out of 2 in league and cup, obviously. So one of those is coming to an end, So, or both of them are coming to an end if it's a draw. So both clubs are going to want to keep that record up. And like you say, the set pieces, for instance, you've got your likes of your Djukovic's who can get up in the air, but we've got the likes of Suter who can clear it. We've got the likes of Ostergaard who can attack corners, and you've got the likes of people like Harley Dean maybe who are pretty solid. And both clubs are also not doing the transfer business either. I mean, we're probably going to look at a defensive midfielder. The names have been mentioned, like James Garner, a right back as well, because Tommy Smith's the only right back at the club. So we'll get a little bit more competition for him. So we're both looking at decent options, and every transfer both clubs have made has been a good investment for what we had last season. So, for instance, we've signed a third choice goalkeeper, and not many people knew about him, but he's very good in League One. He's called Jack Bonham. But we had three goalkeepers out in injury in last season at the same time.
Solid preparation, really.
Having that in there, having a young lad, Blondie, go out on loan, it's great to kind of have that goalkeeping department. It's such a good keeping department. Adam Davis, he was championship #1 last season for Stoke. Joe Bursick, England under-21 international, got promoted at
Peterborough. He looks promising, to be fair.
He looks so good. I will say he has got a mistake in him at the moment. His kicking isn't that great. Like, he did make a mistake against Reading, but at the same time, he's young. He's going to learn from this. And if you have him in goal, what I will say is his kicking has generally been not that good, but it'll be something that he's probably practicing on the training ground at the moment, just trying to hit balls at these coaches. So that's all I'd say in that. But it's definitely, like you said, the two clubs can cancel each other out, because the two clubs really are parallel to what they've been doing in the transfer market, how they're playing. We play the same formation. So, it's going to be it's going to be an exciting match, isn't it? With those two clubs coming up together.
100%. It's probably the most exciting encounter between the two sides for a while, both being in a really good place at the moment. I suppose what doesn't bode well for Blues is, we are, when it comes to scoring goals, we're very much that sort of aerial threat side, and you bringing in all these big players at the back will make it tough for us to, provide for players like Djukovic. But we do have a Nike who will probably be on the bench. He's an absolute beast. From what he's done lower down the leagues, he just looks unreal, and hopefully he can bring that to Blues. Didn't really offer too much against Colchester in the cup game, but I think that was down to lack of service. So I'll definitely be interested to see whether Anike can get any minutes in this game as well, because he definitely offers a different dimension up front. But yeah, no, it's going to be the biggest clash between these two sides for a while. I suppose the only thing that goes in our favour a bit is we just seem to have this amazing home record against Stoke over the last 10, 20 years. Like, you just don't seem to get much from St Andrews. And to be fair, we even away, we don't seem to do too bad against you. I'd say we still lose more probably than we win over there, but we get a few more wins over there than we would anywhere else. So it's
I think we find it difficult going to St Andrews, but you find it difficult at the Britannia, so it kind of evens itself out. Really,
it does even itself out a bit, yeah. But I don't know. I just can't. I think you have to go back very far for the last time Stoke picked up all 3 points to St Andrews. Obviously, you've come close a couple of times, and then Jude Bellingham with the probably one of the few flukiest debut goals you've ever seen. But I remember you took the lead in that game, so it's. Anything can happen. I definitely wouldn't. I'm not going to write off Stoke at all due to previous games, because it's virtually a new look squad in a way. You're in relatively decent form when we managed to get that 2-0 against you back end of last season. But you've got a completely sort of different squad now with some of those new signings and a bit of a new style of play as well, because you have opened up those new dimensions. So it'd be interesting to see. I suppose moving on to form and injuries, really. Obviously, we know the form for both sides. 2 wins in 2 competitive matches. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But injuries-wise, we've only really got concerns for Tahith Chong, maybe Jordan Graham as well, but he did play the other day against Colchester, so I think he's okay now. But our main injury concern is Tahith Chong, and sort of when he'll be back fit, really. So we'll have to see and wait on that one. Is there any players missing out for Stoke at the moment?
Not off the top of my head, no. It feels quite bad. I haven't done a bit of research on this, but not off the top of my head, no. Tyrese Campbell probably be the main one, because he's just come back. He's starting to come back from a long-term injury, and I've been hearing that his scans have gone well, and he's going to be back in training, like full team training, in about a month or maybe 3 weeks. So that's the real injury concern that I know of. But it's been, he's been out the team since December in last year, so that's the only real injury concern there. It's a real shame because having Tyrese in the team makes you a lot better than when he's not in the team. But yeah, I'll tell you one player you need to watch out for now, Jacob Brown.
Oh yeah, he's looked quite tasty. I remember
his
it. It was
first
Blues and
season.
Stoke who were in for Jacob Brown when
I
you
know,
signed
because
him.
basically when Jacob Brown in his first season, he was getting a lot of stick from fans, and sometimes rightly so. I think he'd probably admit that he wasn't maybe playing too well, but honest to God, works so hard. Unbelievable player. Like, got a great shot on him. He's starting to get a lot more flair. He's a confidence player. So that goal against Reading, he's coming in off the back of a confidence performance against Blues. I think we've got a real player on our hands here. And I think he came in a little bit raw, but now we're starting to develop him. So even though Ty is out, Jacob Brown is starting to take that role a little bit more now because he looks good. He looks so good. And him and Sam Surridge have got a nice little link-up play together now. And Stephen Fletcher's also a decent option off the bench with...
He's got in him.
He's got that flair side to him. And I've always said he reminds me a bit of Arnautovic, not because he's as good as him, but just because of that flair side. He's a bit of a maverick.
As well.
He's a bit of a maverick, got that ponytail going on like Arnautovic you kind of reminds me a little bit of that. And I think I said that last time I went on here that Stephen Fletcher reminds me a bit of Arnautovic. And those three frontline options are pretty good. Sam Surridge has got 2 and 2, like I said at the moment. He'll be coming off the back of confidence. I can't remember the last time a striker got 2 and 2 for Stoke. It might have been Benik Afobe
a while,
but that didn't really work out too well. But
of course,
hopefully that's not the same with Sam, because Sam looks like decent lad, decent footballer. Could be his breakthrough year because he's not really had that at Bournemouth with the likes of Shane Long coming in, Josh King keeping him out the team. So having a club like Stoke where he can set out a platform for himself, I think it'll be quite good. And we've got a good sort of strength in here, and maybe even adding to that, like I said, with the defensive midfielder that hopefully it's James Garner we're bringing in, but there's a lot of clubs in for him at the moment. Hopefully a right back as well, and we can build a really decent side here. And I feel like Blues are doing that as well. I mean, you're in for Lyle Taylor, I understand. So having him there reuniting with Bowyer, that'll be a great signing for you. So exciting times for both clubs.
Definitely. It looks like we're looking at Scott Dan as well, return of former defender. So that could be an interesting piece of business if we pull it off as well. I think we're just looking to make a couple more outgoings before we bring in more players, because the squad is quite large at the moment overall. But yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned Jacob Brown, because I think that's the sort of project that we've got on our hands with Jonathan Lico a bit. And Bowyer is really trying hard to sort of find that player that he had at Charlton a couple of seasons ago and bring that back out of him. He's just really struggled to get going at Blues. Had a bit of a rough time, but hopefully Lecco, there'll be a light at the end of the tunnel for him and his journey at Blues at the moment, but it's just not working out for him recently.
Yeah, there seems to be two sides to Jacob Brown. There seems to be the side where Jacob Brown's a great player, and we've got a real player on our hands here. If we can get the best out of him, he's a confidence player. Give him confidence, praise him on social media. And there's the other side that goes, all he does is runs. All he does is this. Which I personally, I'm not on that side. I'm on the side of let's give him some confidence. But there's definitely a lot of sides. There's definitely two sides to it with Jacob Brown, and I feel like if you've seen some of the celebrations, he's going like this to like some other to an empty stadium, which wasn't probably the best idea.
Wasn't the smartest idea.
But you can sort of see the intentions behind that he wants to prove people wrong. And apparently I've been told by people that they've had to force him off the training pitch, the groundsman have, because he wants to keep practicing. He works so hard, that lad. And that's the type of people we love at Stoke.
I was going to say, that's the right type of player. Right,
Jonathan Walters, for instance, wasn't a talented player. Should never have gone to the Premiership with his with his ability, but works so hard. That's how he got to the Premiership, and that's how he got to his level. And Jacob Brown's the same. He works so hard, and I love players like that at Stoke.
Exactly. All you ever want at a football club really is hardworking players. I think that's why everyone loves Dukey. And when Dukey eventually leaves, whether that's in a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows anymore, he just keeps going and going every season. He will leave a club legend, that's for sure. Lucas Djukovic, and probably one of my favourite players of all time. But that's definitely our hardest working player right there. So before we wrap up, then the classic end to a video: score predictions. What is your score prediction, my friend?
I hate doing score predictions on Stoke because I had to pick. I had a period where I was just like, yeah, we're going to win. And I just got so disappointed. I just feel like I jinx it sometimes. But I think, like I said, both teams could cancel each other out. We've played the same way, play the same formation. You very good at scoring at corners. We've become very good at defending corners, set vice versa with attacking it as well. So I don't want to say 0-0. I'm going to say 1-1 because I do think it's going to be a good game. So I'll say 1-1.
It's funny because I was literally going to say the exact same 1-1. I feel like that's probably the safest score to go with because you can just see both sides cancelling each other out. But it wouldn't surprise me if we lost 2-1. I don't think we'd not perform well. I think we perform well, but we're just not clinical enough at the moment, and we do miss a lot of big chances. So it depends whether we can step up on the day. Because if we take our chances on the day, I think we could run away with it 3 or 4-1.
Because basically, you need Lyle Taylor effectively.
Exactly. And, we create so many good chances. We're just not clinical. That's the problem. We can normally put one away, but that's as far as it stretches. So, no, I will play it safe and I'll predict a 1-1, but I wouldn't put it past either side to win this game at all. It just depends on who turns up more prepared on the day. And we'll find out very soon.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be a great match.
Exactly, definitely. Very, very much probably the most exciting match between the two sides for a very long time, that's for sure, since the Prem days. But we'll see. Anyway, thank you for joining me, mate. Really appreciate it. If you could all go check out the Delilah debate, you got a few good player podcasts going on there at the moment, and also Bear Pit, of course, plenty of content over there. And I'll leave all those socials down in the link below. And thank you for joining us as always. Please like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep right on.